Hi everyone, this is Jake Crew and welcome back to Blind Faith Week 27. This week I would like to talk about promises and lies. We will start talking about promises. A promise, in my mind, is basically like a legal document if you were talking about in court references. Basically you signed that you will complete a task or do something or buy something or whatever you promised. You basically signed a document saying that you will do it. A promise would not stand up in a court. If you say, I promise to do this, in court it would not stand up. But in the highest court of all, God's court, that is the most important legal binding document. A promise is not just words. It is much, much more. When you say the two words, I promise, you're saying that you guarantee you'll do what someone asks you to. To ensure that I don't forget to do a promise, I like to complete the task as fast as I can. If I say I promise I'll do this, I tend to go and do it as soon as I have a break in whatever I was doing before. If I promise my dog I'll buy her treats, I'll make sure I'll buy her treats the next time I'm at the store. A promise isn't just a promise from one person to another. I believe that you should keep your promise to whoever or whatever you make it to. If you make it to a pet, you should keep it to your pet. If you say, I promise you'll go for a walk later today, you should make sure you go for that walk later that day. If you promise that you will buy your 6-month-old child a toy, you should buy them that toy, because even if they might not remember that you broke that promise, a broken promise is a broken promise. It's one of those things that I feel like almost sits there and festers and bothers you more. And it's one of those things that might be an easiest task to do, but if you promise to do it, you need to do it. Breaking promises is not good no matter what. And I would say as Christians, the biggest promise we can make is to God. If we promise something to God, we have to make sure we keep that promise and complete the task that we promised to do. Another way to make sure you keep a promise is maybe write down a list of promises. If you make a promise, write it down. We hear the phones around now that you can make a note on your phone, list of promises, and write down your list of promises, a list of things you promised to do. If you forget and you remember later, make sure you complete the promise when you remember. But most importantly, try not to forget a promise. Another thing that I feel like walks hand in hand with promising is a lie, because we basically as Christians, we've promised to God that we will not lie. Every lie we tell is basically like breaking that promise. If we lie about something, no matter how small or how large, it's basically like breaking the promise that you won't lie. It's important to tell the truth in all situations. I feel like that a lot of the issues in today's world would be easily fixed by just the truth. People would be more educated on what was going on in life if there's not hidden messages in places and people trying to cover things up. As hard as it is sometimes you need to face your mistakes. It's easier just to go, I thought that was supposed to be like this, but maybe you just forgot to do something. It makes it easier to tell someone. It might be hard at that time, but it's easier later, because it's not good if you get caught in a lie. It makes people not trust you later. And not only that, you have to think about it. You might get away with a lie on earth, but God knows. God knows the truth of every single thing you say. And God knows when you lie, you don't tell the truth about something. So the message for this week is make sure you're always keeping your promises, no matter who it's to, no matter what the promise is. Well, the only promise I think you should break, which you shouldn't be making in the first place, is if you promise to do a sin, to sin against God. That's one promise I think God doesn't want you to keep. But I think the best way to make sure you're not sinning against God is not to promise to sin against God in the first place. Make sure that you're always paying attention. Listen to the correct voice in your head, because I feel like you always have two voices in your head, almost one on either side. One voice is telling you what you want to do, and the other thing is telling you what would be best to do as a Christian. And make sure you're listening to this side that's the Christian voice, the side that is telling you to keep that promise or not make a promise because the promise isn't a good promise. And next of all, the other message for tonight, make sure you don't lie, because lying is just as bad as breaking a promise, I feel like. And God knows when you broke a promise, and He knows when you lie. So you might as well tell the truth, because the biggest judge already knows. This is Jake Kruger, Blind Faith Week 27. Thanks for watching. Remember, I got that email address, jakekruger.blindfaith@gmail.com. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, any ideas, anything you want me to talk about, anything specific, or just anything you need to talk about with someone, you can send me an email. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. See you all next week.